So thank you. And we now have some time for questions and answers. And the first question is for Professor Silvio Ferrari. And it is, how do you achieve the highest level? What should you submit to government? What is the burden of proof? In which countries it's easier or on the contrary more difficult to obtain from the state recognition? So I'm asking whether Professor Ferrari is online to answer this.
Yes, I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Fine. Well, there is no general answer. It is a matter that is decided state by state. However, there are some recurring points. Basically, to get to the top of the pyramid or to get close to the top of the pyramid, the elements that are taken into consideration, as I already said, are the number of the faithful, how long a religious minority has been operating in a state, and how much its practices and tenets are, let's say, not contrasting the opinion of the majority. Normally, there are two systems to getting a legal personality, which means to get a number of privileges and legal advantages. One is a recognition by the state, which means an administrative process, normally under the control of the Ministry of the Interior or some other ministry. The second way is registration by courts, which means that a religious minority must apply to the courts and they decide. Regarding the second part of the question, a very liberal system is the system of Estonia, for example, in the sense that there is a system of registration governed by courts, and it's a very egalitarian system. There is no religious organization which is really at the top of the pyramid. Most religious organizations are at the middle level. While, in my opinion at least, one of the least favorable system is the system of Belgium, because in Belgium, exactly this middle level is missing. You have a few religions that are recognized by the state, and if you are not among the recognized religion, your only option is to get legal personality as a non-profit organization. There is no possibility of getting legal personality as a religious entity. So it is a very polarized system, the Belgian one. Either you are at the top or you are at the bottom, but there is no middle level as in most other European countries.
Thank you, Silvio Ferrari. And the next question is for Professor Christides, and it is about what can the Jehovah's Witnesses do to reduce the opposition. And the question is, for example, if they will find some accommodation in the field of blood transfusions or in the field of conscientious objection, perhaps by accepting form of alternative civil service. Do you believe these changes would significantly contribute to eliminate or lower the opposition against Jehovah's Witnesses? So, Professor Christides.
Yes, I'm here. Can people hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes. So, yes, I don't really see much prospect of things changing, because the problem basically is that blood is an issue that really is the kind of hallmark of being a Jehovah's Witness. It's one of the distinctive features that no other group that I know of has. So, I mean, that being the case, and being governed not democratically, but by a governing body that's self-perpetuating, they're going to be very resilient to change. There are moves by the Association of, what do they call it again? Associated Jehovah's Witnesses for the Reform of Blood. And they've got a website. There are people who are Jehovah's Witnesses that are trying to institute change, but they've been singularly unsuccessful. Regarding military service, their position, as I think Milda explained, is that so long as alternative service is not controlled by the military, they're amenable to it. So if they can get governments to change policies and have alternative service that is not military supervised, then certainly there are prospects there for Jehovah's Witnesses being able to comply with the law. But I think they're still going to be unpopular about it, because when there is a war, anyone that tries to opt out of military service really is viewed as unpatriotic and basically very selfish, rather than public spirited in contributing to the war effort. So the short answer is no, I don't see very much room for change or improving their profile. There aren't prospects of big changes either in the organization or politically.
Thank you. And the next question is for Milda Naliszauskiene. And it is, to what extent is the Catholic Church the root or involved in the hostility to Jehovah's Witnesses in Lithuania? Or are there, for instance, priests giving lectures, as it happens in other countries, or fueling hostility to Jehovah's Witnesses? Milda?
Thank you. I think we need to make a difference here through the historical timeline. During the first 5 to 10 years after the independence was reclaimed, the population has gone through this very practical need to adjust to the religion in public, and also to the freedom of religion. So during those years, there have been different efforts from Roman Catholic Church as well to find its place in the society, and also to explain as they understood to their followers, to their believers, which religious communities they can be in relationship and which should not be. So we can see that Roman Catholic Church is has been also doing this, of course, certainly through the religious education. And in religious education textbooks, there are some references where you can see where Jehovah's Witnesses can be, again, in which kind of place they can be put by people who are constructing religious education curricula, Roman Catholic religious education curricula. So Roman Catholics are invited to be and to recognize friends among Russian Orthodox Church believers at first. The second would be the closest brothers in faith, as they say, Lutherans and Reformed churches, and then new religious movements, and among them again evangelical movements of Christian evangelical movements like Church of Faith. However, Jehovah's Witnesses are even not mentioned in that kind of friendship construction, the way Roman Catholic sees it. So to answer briefly, I believe that I don't have recently recorded priests who have been saying something to community against Jehovah's Witnesses, but on the level of the providing information about the doctrine of Roman Catholic Church, the Jehovah's Witnesses are approached as the ones who are deviating most to the Roman Catholic Church, and then it might be considered with this classical sociological typology of religious organizations, where Roman Catholic Church is seen as a church in the society, and Jehovah's Witnesses are seen as a sect.
So thank you, and I propose to have a coffee break. Somebody asked me, what about the coffee break, where we don't yet have the technology at Cesnur to deliver coffee through your computer, but we can invite you to take and to use your preferred coffee machine. However, the program is very tight, so it's now to 12:13, and I will invite Milda Liszauskine, who will chair the next session, to be here in 5 minutes, and at 12:20 straight, we will start the next session on Russia, which I'm sure all of us are looking forward to. So now I'll give the good example and go for a coffee break, but be back on time for the 12:20 session, which will be chaired by Milda.